All right, this is number 6 from the 2019 FRQ No Calculator section. And before we look at part B, I wanted to tell you that this question uses some information from part A. So if you have not watched the video for 6A yet, go ahead and do that. It's just a couple minutes. All right, so we have functions f, g, and h that are twice differentiable. They give us g of 2 and h of 2 are both equal to 4. The line y equals 4 plus 2/3 times the quantity x minus 2 is tangent to the graph of g at x equals 2 and the graph of h at x equals 2. Part B says a is a function given by, they're defining a new function. A of x equals 3x to the third h of x. Write an expression for a prime of x and find a prime of 2. So the first thing that they're asking you for is a prime of x. If you want to pause the video and think about how you would take this derivative, you can go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so you would need the product rule to do that. A of x is 3x to the third times h of x, and so if you're finding the derivative of that product, you need the product rule. So I'm going to color code. This is our first function, and this is our second function. So the product rule is the derivative of the first. So the derivative of the yellow, which is 9x squared, times the second. There's a plus sign. The derivative of the second, the derivative of that magenta color, the derivative of h is h prime of x times the first. So the derivative of the first times the second plus derivative of the second times the first. And that would be your derivative. The second question they're asking you is to find a prime of 2. So to take that derivative and to plug in 2. So anywhere there's an x, you're going to plug in 2. So we have 9 times 2 squared, h of 2, plus h prime of 2 times 3 times 2 to the third. So every time I saw an x, I replaced that with a 2. And you can leave this unsimplified, right? This is a free response question. So the only thing you really need to evaluate here is what is h of 2 and what is h prime of 2. And if you want to pause and try to figure those out, you could do that right now. H of 2 was given in the question. H of 2 is equal to 4. So I'm going to replace that with a 4. H prime of 2 was figured out in part A, so that's why I was saying at the beginning, if you haven't watched the video for 6A, 6A is just all about why is H prime of 2 equal to 2/3. So you can go back and watch that, but we did that already, times 3 times 2 to the third. So you can actually stop here if you want to, because you don't have to simplify in free response. If you wanted to keep simplifying, you could take care of the exponents first. So that would be 2 squared is 4, and 2 to the third is 8. You could cancel those 3's. This is 36 times 4 and 16. 24, 144 plus 16 to get 160. Okay, so if you wanted to simplify, it would be 160, but again, as you know, you are definitely allowed to leave it. After you figure out what is h of 2 and h prime of 2, you can just leave it with those numbers plugged in. So the rubric for this question is interesting. They give you a point if they can see that you're trying to use the product rule and you know the product rule, they give you a point for that. And then if you actually get the right derivative, that's another point. And then the last point is if you can get the value of a prime of 2, which is either that unsimplified form that I showed you or 160. So that is a 3-point question. I think manageable for us to do, definitely. I think that we could do this question. All right, that is it for part B.